So, not chapter 7, ignore that. But we are going to talk about resumes here and how to get them structured. We want to know what they are and their purpose and stuff. Obviously, their purpose is to kind of just be a poster board of all of your most basic qualifications, you know. We'll understand sort of the importance of it and why it's such a big deal in the search process. The structure, the contents, and the lengths of like what makes kind of a good resume. I'll show you a couple different examples and how they sort of look. What you should not include on a resume, that's almost as important as what to have on there. It's kind of funny because we live in, like I got a resume one time that came through with a guy who was like a power lifter and he had gone to several powerlifting meets and he had like some of his like qualifications where he was like, look, I won this deadlifting competition, or it won like a powerlifting competition, like Southern California, blah, 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 like big title and whatever the award was called. And I was like, I thought about it for a second. I was like, that's a weird thing to include on a resume. But I have seen stuff like that on other people as well, where it's like, used to be like a Division 1 so-and-so player. And they'll put stuff like that on their resume. They keep it really brief. It's almost it's in like the special skills section. And I thought about it and I was like, that's actually really great. Like, that's a really good thing to include on your resume because, this person was a successful competitive athlete. And that's something that will probably translate really well to like training and sessions and things like that. Both those guys didn't have any background in group exercise though, which is the big thing that then, we brought both those guys in for interviews. Neither of them really had a ton of energy. Like this guy was like, it was so funny. Like I was like, man, this guy's like he was like a real like, intense football player. I was like, he's going to be like, let's go. And he'll motivate all of our guests and stuff. And he showed up and he was like Marshawn Lynch. He was just like super quiet. And I was like, oh man, like I like you, but like we can't, it's not the direction we're going. But yeah, so when you see that kind of stuff on your resume, it can be kind of weird sometimes. So like the right stuff has to go on there. I like the way that powerlifter included it, and he even had like he was like X number of kilograms lifted. He had like what his stuff was. What you should not include though, like you shouldn't be being like I can deadlift 405. Like don't just put your numbers down if those are your numbers. Like that's I've seen that on resumes as well. Ones that I don't have a story for because I don't remember them very well because I was like, that's a very weird thing to put on, and probably the rest of their resume was a mess as well. So, this is a very judgmental piece of paper, or at least it makes people very judgmental, or they're going to be judgmental with it, So we need to understand the structure and how to organize it. And then we have a little bit here about like what a video resume is. That is not a thing. We're gonna basically not talk about that because that's, again, I think this textbook is from a like how to work on a cruise ship, and things like that. So resume, really important here. We got a little definition. An important part of the job hunting process. It is a formal document that's used to show employers a snapshot of an individual's work experience and education. So this is your chance to kind of, if you had to put all of your best qualities and qualifications on one sheet of paper and get it to really stand out right from the beginning, that is what the resume is for. Its purpose is to assist candidates in obtaining your interview. So I think you guys will actually see this sentence in your homeworks, if I'm not mistaken. This is jumping out at me. So yeah, it's to assist candidates in obtaining an interview, similar to like a cover letter, right? A cover letter is to get someone to look at an application. A resume is to get somebody to be like, all right, well, now I'm going to call this person in, so it's just part of this these various little processes, right? Like you find the job online, you send in your cover letter plus application. They read the cover letter, they decide whether or not they want to look at the application. They look at the application and they're like, great, let's take a look at this person's resume. They take a look at the resume and they're like, that looks really good. Let's call this person in for an interview. They bring you in for 1, maybe 2 interviews, and then you got your job, right? And then you got to go to HR, and you got to get all your paperwork filed and bring in your certification and blah, 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 blah. But that process is different at every company, and they do all the work for you on that. So luckily, we don't have to spend too much time talking about that. But even though that's the most fun part, considering that you get the job. But the resume, big content, the big things that they're going to look at, they're looking at your capability, right? They want to know like what your abilities are and what you are capable of. Your experience, both, volunteer and work experience. I told you guys, it doesn't always have to be directly related to personal training. I know a lot of you guys don't necessarily have too many clients right now, but you probably have some type of other transferable skills. Like I said, if you were the member of like a team, and you want to put that in like your special skills and stuff, I mean, David, not to throw you on the spot, but you are the youngest guy in here. And so my assumption would be, based just on age alone, that like work experience wise and like training experience wise, you probably have like the smallest pool to pull from. But we know already, based on what you said this morning, that you you spar and you box and things like that. Those are skills that you can put on your resume. So your resume is probably going to be like very big on education, very big on like, um, uh, uh, education experience and classes that you've taken and certifications, the stuff that has prepped you to kind of work in the world. And then your special skills section, we'll find a way to kind of bulk that up, and that's going to look really good. So it's a little bit different. Me, I've been in this industry for a really long time. I don't really have too much in the special skills section anymore. I actually need to update my resume because I have new certifications that I need to add on there, and those take up space. I told you guys it's a good idea to get like more certifications the longer you go on. Eventually, it starts to become a problem where you're like, I can't fit all this crap on my resume. And that's a good problem to have. That's like well, they call it, it's a champagne problem. It's like too much champagne. What are we gonna do with all this? So your experience, both volunteer and work experience. If you've ever like volunteered with an after school program or something like that, that is fantastic stuff to put on a resume, even if it isn't like an actual job. If you've coached soccer, anything like that. And then any of your skills, actual skills and transferable skills, whatever you feel like, would translate really well. What's up, Edwin? Question.
Yeah, quick question before I forget. I was gonna ask this yesterday. As far as the certifications go and all that, can we start working on those before we're done with the school, or what do you think?
Sadly, no. Unfortunately, no. Just because like the minute you pass them is the minute you're like actually certified. It's kind of a two-part thing. The main reason we tell people not to do this, at least this is like the written reason, is like if you start working on your certification before you go get it, number one, we schedule your CPR towards the end of your program here, and you can't take your test without CPR. So you have to like bring it with you like physically, or at least prove it like physically. And if you don't bring it, they count it as basically like a failure of your test. They're like, it's not even like they send it home, because you get like one fail and then one reschedule, right? They basically count that first one if you like show up without your CPR. So that's part of the reason. And then the other reason is like, if you get certified early and start working as a personal trainer, I mean, that is kind of the goal, and that is actually kind of great. But if you start getting overwhelmed and like drop out of the program, you're going to miss out on, all of the capstone stuff or whatever is coming down the line. So that's one of the biggest reasons we don't do that. I think also, like, obviously, just if I'm inferring the way this rule, because this was created, I think when the program first started, and I know all of our programs are like this. I think that the other reason is like, once you get certified, people may just be like, well, I'm gonna bounce out of Sochi. I don't need that anymore, but you're still gonna have to pay for it. So like we try not just to help people with, resolve that conflict before it starts.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I'm not going anywhere. I'm getting the VA benefits,
Yeah, I know, right? Like that's
yeah.
the thing. But yeah, like the closest, I will say, the closest to that is like when you get into capstone. Sometimes we'll schedule that relatively early. So like your final 6 weeks, we try to get your test like scheduled and like kind of used to things fairly early on. A lot of students are kind of nervous by that point, and then they kind of like push it off and push it off. That's where we kind of flip it, and Mo's going to be really like, poking you to kind of schedule your test and stuff. And then a lot of people pass before they graduate, and then they're like coming back and they're like, finishing up maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks of classes because they already passed. So I guess in a way there's a little yes to your answer, but it's definitely not as early as the core, if that makes sense.
All right, cool.
Good question though. I haven't talked about that in a very long time. I'm not sure, like Thomas, you've been here the longest. I don't think that's ever come up. So that's good. I mean, like, I want you guys to all know this stuff. I want you guys to know as much about Sochi as I do. That's how we're all transparent, all right, so like I said, purpose, we're trying to obtain the actual interview, right? And so this is sort of a snapshot of your professional image, which is why and this is maybe kind of a snobby thing in the job hiring world, but that's why we care about a good looking resume. It's like, does this person know how to play the game? Is it important that you know how to play the game? Honestly, in my opinion, not at all. I really don't think it's like, if you know how to write I don't think writing a good resume makes you a good personal trainer. It means that you have a good resume. But that being said, if I'm looking at someone and I see they have a really well formatted document, resume, cover letter, they show up for their interview on time and like professional and stuff like that, I know that there are probably some transferable skills that are going to translate to their clients. Like, oh, this person takes the time, they put the effort in, and they're going to do that with their clients. Their clients are going to be happy. They're going to have a really high retention rate with their clients. That retention rate means more money for the club. That money for the club means, I probably get a bonus. For the record, I've never actually managed a regular gym setting. That was a sort of made up example, but speaking of transparency, the 2 places I've been management are here at Sochi and at WellFit, but not Biggest Loser. So when it came back, those are the 2 times that like I have worked in interviewing and hiring and stuff. But in a traditional gym setting, I will tell you, that is what they care about. They're hiring the trainers, a lot of times because they're looking for the ones that are going to get them the biggest commission bonuses. So we want to make sure your resume is very, very, very well organized, right? Show off your biggest strengths, show off your accomplishments, your interests, and any work-related experience. We want to make sure it's all true and accurate and has no typos. Obviously, that should probably go without saying, but we'll bring it up anyways because it is kind of important there. And then you should only be including relevant information. Like I said, you don't need, if you can bench press, 400 pounds, which by the way is very impressive, that's awesome. But like, it doesn't tell me what kind of trainer you are. Now, if you won a competition and you were like a professional bench press athlete and you want to put like what the name of the meet that you've won is, Long Beach, internet, whatever. I can't make up fake meet names for some reason. You had something like that, great, put that on your resume. Those are different, right? They're just slightly different things. I go running regularly, but I wouldn't put that on my resume. I'm like, I'm a regular runner, What I would put is, got third place in the Race the Reaper obstacle course in, Portland, Oregon. So key content, right? Keep it simple, keep it real, quantifiable. Try to pick things that, are a little bit tangible and specific, So at the top, you're going to put your heading, right? This is all your contact information. Very, very, very similar to what we've already talked about. I got several examples today of resumes for you. And so you're going to put all that contact info laid out right in the beginning. Let's go ahead and just open all three of these. What? Why not? So here are sort of three very, or there are only two that opened for some reason, and now I don't know which one's which. Thanks, computer. That's number one. That's got to be number three, right? That's number three. Okay, so number two. Okay, so these all look a little bit different from one another, right? But they all have one very, very, common through line, which is like the contact information. The name is at the top in bold and a little bit larger than everything else. Location and email and phone number, right? So name, location, email, phone number. And you'll see that like I put little brackets in here. For the record, these brackets are things that you guys are going to replace. This is meant to be kind of a skeleton with very basic information. If you wanted to literally keep this and just plug your name and your information into this, this would actually cover you, because all of our students, are, maybe this is your objective. This is I would rewrite this objective. We'll talk about a career objective in just a second. But like your education, this is telling you what classes we took. So this is a very like basic modern resume. Over here, slightly different heading, but very, very similar. This is a little bit more modern, actually. This is a little bit different. But you can see here, right? Name, and then this one has like the title of, why is that backwards? The title of what you are trying to achieve. So what type of job you're trying to get. Get out of here. Microsoft Word is like, oh, you're writing a resume. Like, yeah, but knock it off. So I like this one because it's got the title bit in there. Like maybe you don't want to be necessarily just personal trainer. Maybe you see yourself more as a coach. This is kind of nice because it's kind of targeting your resume. If there's a specific title, if I look up on Indeed.com, if I go personal trainer, personal fitness trainer, certified personal trainer, entry level personal fitness trainer, trainer for seniors, personal trainer, coach / personal trainer, right? HIT instructor or personal trainer at Afterburn. No, that's actually a really good job. In freaking Manhattan Beach. Screw that noise. But that place is supposed to be really fun to work at. Anyway, group fitness instructor, fitness studio trainer. You've got the ability now to kind of toy and mess around with your title that you're aiming for, and then we kept it really simple again. Contact info, not address, but location, phone number, email. And then you can see this is my personal resume. This one is very focused on work experience instead. And you can see it's a little bit more paragraph based. And again, this one's just at the top: name, phone number, email. And then this time I didn't put location. I actually put my LinkedIn instead. And that has a link that they can very easily kind of copy and paste into the internet if they want to like look it up, or a lot of times like they're looking at these digitally, and I'm not logged in, so it's going to have to deal with that. Actually, it's this one. Sign it. Are you trying to make a new account? Why is that the default? All right, I'm going to give up on that. Pull my LinkedIn later. So anyway, that's how that's going to work, right? Contact information at the top, and then the URL of any personal websites. Now, I will say one thing, Edwin, I know you're big on social media. I don't know about the rest of you guys, if you have like a social media presence directly related to your personal training and stuff, but that is something that we are seeing added on resumes. Where I have my LinkedIn, for instance, you could very easily replace that with your Instagram handle. And it can actually be a very good thing to include on your resume in 2021. You know, you go back 10 years, I don't know if I would say that, but nowadays it's become such a big deal. You know, it shows that like you are sort of building a following, you know, and that can drive customers into an actual gym and stuff. So I will say, if you are going to do something like that, make sure you scrub your social media. You know, there shouldn't be pictures of you, you know, eating chili dogs and you know, drinking like, you know, giant steins of beer and stuff like that. What's that, David?
You should just like, so what you're telling me right now is I should go wipe my Instagram of me being a buffoon, right?
There you go. Yeah, honestly, I would scrub it.
There's always cheat day though, you know?
There is always cheat days, yes. But like you want to make sure those cheat days are not front and center, you know, and that they are a rare
professional hot dog eater.
Yeah, there we go. That's a sport, right? So yeah, so that kind of thing, you can have it. This is actually why I recommend having 2 social medias. At one point, I had 3 Facebooks back when Facebook, you know, this is like before Instagram was kind of better. Way back in the day, I had 3 Facebooks at one point. I had my personal one, and then I had a professional one, and then the place I started working was like, you need a professional one. I was like, I have one. They're like, no, with our branding on it. And so they made everybody on staff have one, which is crazy. There's your title at the top, right? So we're going to see 2 sort of different examples here. Now, I will say, like I said, this PowerPoint is for a sort of tour guide situation kind of thing, you know, the leisure industry. So their resume is going to look very different. They also subscribe to a multi-page situation, which is definitely not what we want to do. Personal trainer resumes, they are 1 page. So because of that, you're going to see like they have a lot of extra information kind of built into their example, which is why this is an example that I like much better. This is a very, very, very tried and true traditional resume. Does have the actual like address on it, which I don't love, but it's not bad, right? And so there is sort of how we're building it. And I like this one because it is also somebody who's right out of school. So it'll work as a good example for us. So first thing at the very top of every resume, and this is something I didn't put a lot of emphasis on in the beginning, and I really regret, because I've heard, you know, from employers since, we're like, yeah, we would have loved to have a career objective. Your career objective is a clear, concise statement providing the prospective employer with an immediate sense of who the application is. The idea here is that you are showing what your goals are as a professional, and then also like what you are really good at, what you're interested in. That's a really big one. This is a chance for you to kind of put the who you are actually in your resume. The rest of the resume is very analytical. You know, it's very objective. This bit right here is subjective. You know, it's very much like the story behind all the other information on the page, you know. Remember we talked about the differences, like I think a lot of times like trainers, I think we can be very objective because we get very wrapped up in numbers and things like that when we're testing our clients. But that subjective interview section is going to be the why behind. It's like the what is that they are obese. The why is because they have a very sedentary job and a very stressful home life. Got it. Cool. Okay. Now I know what to kind of work on there. And I know like how we can track the progress here. You know, that's very similar to your resume. The what is all this information here, all this stuff. But here is the why. So you can keep it really brief, you can keep it really simple, but I think it's the biggest chance for you guys to be creative and really kind of get your voice out there. You should all be thinking, if I asked you, what is your career objective in 3 sentences? I want you guys to all start thinking about that and how you would word it. I forget, what's the term? It's your elevator pitch. It's your elevator pitch. To get yourself hired. Actual elevator pitch is for pitching a business, but I think it translates very well here. Clear, talk about your skills and accomplishments. It is optional, but I really recommend putting it, especially because not everybody, you don't know who you're going to get hired by. You don't know if the person you're applying to is super analytical and they're going to love all the resume content, or you might end up with somebody who's like, oh, I hate all these really square cold data driven resumes, and they pay the most attention because they're they like the story of who someone is and they like the career objective. You never know. So you can see here's a couple examples. Recreational sports professional seeks responsibilities in structuring and programming innovative and traditional sport tournaments and events. All right, that's pretty good. I like that. It very clearly says who they are. They see themselves as a recreational sports professional. Love that. Seeks responsibilities in structuring and programming. So if there's a lot of that involved in the job, innovative and traditional sports tournament and events. So it's okay, so they want to be a little bit creative, but they also get how it's normally done for these events here. When I read that, I'm like, this is a really great opening sentence there. I get an immediate sense of who this person is and what it is they're trying to sort of work in. And this one as well. I desire a fast-paced, challenging work environment in the tourism industry where hard work and creativity are encouraged. Obviously, hard work, creativity, all those things are buzzwords that look really good on a resume anyways. But I love that this is they desire a fast-paced, challenging environment. They're like, look, I want to work. And it's somebody sees their job as fast-paced and challenging, and that's something that they normally warn people about. This person, they're not going to warn them. They're going to be excited to tell them about it. It's a little bit different. And then here's a very basic version. To obtain an entry level, their objective is to obtain an entry level human resources position. It's short, it's simple. I don't hate it, but I do think that there's room for improvement there. If you wanted to really kind of fill that out, you can. So we got a couple examples here. Highly creative personal trainer seeking an entry-level career. So the one thing I really do like about this, it talks about its entry level. It's look, I get it. I'm new, where I can highlight my skills as an exercise specialist and work to develop safe and effective programs for as many individuals as possible. So what this communicates to me is that they're looking to have a big impact on the world, which is exciting. And I think we use the same one in this format as well. Oh no, different one. But I like this one. I think that is a really good, it shows that it's oh, they really want to have a large client base. It also says that they're aware of the fact that they're entry level. They're look, I'm new. I want to get hired. You want to make me, I'm very moldable. I'm very flexible. This is part of the reason why Equinox loves us so much. Number one, we put out great freaking trainers. Thanks to you guys. Number two, though, we listen to them whenever they have advice for us, and that has worked really well in the long run. And they love the fact that our students are brand new to the industry, because Equinox is really big on making sure all of their trainers are very similar. They really want to make sure they have they have a brand that they are trying to protect. And so they have a lot of consistency in how their trainers present themselves, do their fitness assessments, how they dress. And so they love the fact that new students are new on the field. It's well, this is how we do things. And they don't have a lot of hard opinions. We're well, I like to do things this way. People who are new to the industry don't have that as strongly ingrained. They're like, well, I've been doing this for 15 years and here's what always works for me. And they're like, nope, not part of our brand. We want it this way. You know, who's right? That's not for me to say. I'm just saying what gets you the job the easiest. So if you want to include that entry level line in there, I think it can be valuable, you know, because it shows awareness and it shows moldability. We look at the other one over here. That's mine. This is really similar to the creative and strategic. I must have stole that from my resume, but highly creative, strategic professional with 8 years experience. This is old. I need to update this. I don't know why I used, I was beyond 8 years when I uploaded this. I wonder why I use this version, but across a broad range of industry segments, skilled at analyzing infrastructure and planning needs to develop highly effective workplace processes. That's something I was looking to get hired as a program director, which is a little bit more management, a little less hands-on. Adept at managing permanent and volunteer staff with a specialty on ensuring audience education and well-being. That in my resume, I have worked as, you know, program director, a trainer, boot camp instructor. I used to also put my starting a charity on there, which had a lot to do with like my management and stuff. So that's the version that I've got. That must, you know what, I just remembered. That's why I chose this version, because this is the one that has the boot camp instructor. I actually don't keep this on my resume anymore. I replaced this with the Thirst Project. So then the other one, this one's a much more basic, but very well, you know, communicated very early. Looking to obtain an entry-level personal training job where I can have a positive impact on as many lives as possible. Brief, short, to the point, but effective, and I like it. So different strokes, different folks. You guys are going to want to start thinking about what your career objectives are. You know, what is it that you're trying to achieve? And by the way, for those of you, I know a lot of you, I'm looking at the names here, and I know a lot of you guys are going to work for yourselves. A lot of you guys are not interested in working in a gym. Still a good idea to have your own like resume. If you go to like, there's this company, findyourtrainer.com. They are totally like Craigslist for trainers, basically. So you just enter your zip code. And you say like what it is you want to achieve. Let's say we want to get stronger. I work out a few times a week, you know, and want to do something like that. All of that's available. Trainer match is found. Now I got to put in my name and email here. I'm going to actually do this because I think I've done this before. My junk email. So now it's going to pull all the trainers in my area, like in my zip code. So you guys can put yourself up here, put your info up here and see if you can get, you know, find yourself a trainer. Keith, there he is. It's a freaking graduate of mine. I tried to do this last time. The first time I ever pulled this up in class, I've done this 3 times now, and he came up, and then the second time he didn't come up, and I couldn't find him. But yeah, that is, try to see if there's like other ex-Sochi members on here that I would recognize. Not anymore, but he's only charging from 26 a session. I guarantee you that's because I know Keith. I see his social media all the time. He is 100% for sure pulling, he's doing like an intro offer, yeah, and then he's going to charge much more, and then he's going to take them on privately, which you're really not supposed to do, I'm sure, according to the company. But he has like, he's doing like his own meal prep business and stuff, so I'm sure that like once he gets them as a client, he's like, all right, let's get you off that website and pay me directly, because they take like, I think like 30% or something like that, finder's fee. So anyway, those of you who are going to work for yourselves, having your resume up there, being able to put that on the website so that people can see it. These people aren't exactly like experts on reading personal trainer resumes, but they're going to take a look and see like, well, what does he talk about when he talks about his personal training? They want to learn about your style. You can upload that, and it's very handy. So your education record is next. So that's your career objective. The next section is your education generally. Now, the next section doesn't have to be education. You can see on my resume, for instance, I barely have education on there at all. In fact, I didn't put it on there. I have my certifications and then things that like would help me in project management. If they want to ask about my degree, they can ask that later, this is just like marketing stuff that I'm familiar with and technical info. But over here is my actual certs, I have my education on here because at this point, that's not what I'm focused on. I'm trying to tell people I'm a professional more so than I'm trying to tell them that I, am out of school. You guys are directly coming out of Sochi. I really do recommend putting education next. That should be the first thing at the very top and probably the largest section of your resume. Because it is going to be what kind of sets you apart, so really good to put your educational experience. And what you're going to do is you're going to put the name on there or the online course or the workshop that you may have taken if you did that, the name of the vocational school, that's us. And you want to put this in reverse chronological order, which what I mean by that is put the newest first. So if you guys have taken a couple classes in school in kinesiology maybe, or if you've taken anything else that you feel is relevant, you can include that. Just make sure you put the newest version first, which I assume would be us. You can put your GPA on there, but you want to make sure that if you want to do that, if it's high, if you're doing relatively well on it. If your GPA is, impressive, above like 3.25, yeah, put it on there if you want to. I never did that. I always thought it was kind of weird, but I know a lot of people do. So you can see this is this version, right? Their education, they put the name of the university, ABC University in any town, USA. And then they put the date that they received their certification. You guys are going to know what your date you're going to receive it is. We just have to do a little bit of math to figure out the mod schedule. But like Thomas, for instance, I know you're out of here in February. And then I have to calculate everybody else. I think most of you guys June, and then Joseph, Edwin, and Chris, you guys are out of here. I guess it would be in what, August, maybe July. Anyway, we'll figure it out. But that is, I could be way off, by the way. But that's where you're gonna put like your expected grad date, or just put your grad date. So University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, they have a Bachelor of Science in Business and Admin in Human Resources. They expect to graduate. This is an old resume. In 2007, their GPA was 3.1. Really simple there. I would definitely include some of the information on classes that this person took. You can see this one is just like course emphasis in tourism management. It's not bad, but if you're trying to build up your work education experience, you can make that section much, much, much larger. So looking at this example here, we are at Southern California Health Institute, North Hollywood, California. We studied personal fitness training. So name of the institution, where it was located, area of study, and you would want to put, actually, you want to put your date that you graduated there as well. I don't know why that wasn't on there, but include like your date of graduation, like whatever date. I think I have it on the other version. Let's see here. Maybe I just took it off because it's a blank template. Nope, not that one. This one. And so, wait, is that the one I just had? Good Lord, this one. Yeah, there we go. So Southern California Health Institute, Reseda, California, personal fitness training, and then it's the dates that they attended, right? Study kinesiology, fitness assessments, behavior change and goal setting, and nutrition. Practice program design for multiple populations, including sports-specific training, senior fitness, youth fitness, and weight loss clientele. Applied the practice of corrective exercise and working with special populations. So I read this and it comes off, it's like, wow, this person's very much on the corrective exercise side of things. You could always, take a different take, like put what is most relevant to you, this is, pretty much very similar. This one says a little bit more like hands-on experience working with nutrition, athletics, and cardio, depends on where you're going to work, guys, it depends on, again, where you want to see yourself. That's what type of, most relevant information. We got a lot of classes here at Sochi that you're going to choose from. And then you're going to put your relevant or related work experience. So again, this section might be relatively sparse for some of you guys. That's all right. You can have like private trainer up there and like talk about your title, what it is that you did. A lot of times what people do is they'll put their own name. They'll be like, worked as title personal trainer at Chris Ramirez Fitness, like just the title of their whatever, right? Like just put your name, even if you don't have like an official LLC or anything like that, whatever you called your business name. So I've seen people do that plenty of times. So I don't see their own name like Brad Thompson personal training, stuff like that. I always thought it was really funny. My initials, you guys will laugh at this. My initials are BLT. So because of that, I actually used to nobody ever saw it, but my tax ID number was under BLT Fitness, which I thought was hysterical. But nobody else got to see it except for the IRS. So you're going to put your related work experience, include any full-time or part-time jobs, any volunteer jobs or internships that you may have had, name of your business, the dates that you work there. Location's a big one. Again, I think when it comes to location, I put a little asterisk in this because when you are putting that, sometimes it's optional. But again, Los Angeles tends to be like kind of undescriptive. So I do recommend putting like the suburb section you were in. Like I would not put Los Angeles, California. I would put Van Nuys, California, Studio City, North Hollywood, like I don't think Hollywood actually exists. Like I don't think Hollywood has its own zip code. I think there's West Hollywood and that's considered its own town. It's like own municipality. But I don't think like there is such thing as Hollywood. But we all kind of know what that means.
Hollywood is Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's considered Los Angeles. Yeah, it's just considered an LA zip code, right?
Yeah.
But I would, if it was I would totally put Hollywood on the resume. You know what I mean? Because it describes where you work, and we all know like nobody wants to travel in this town. But I will also say it can shoot you in the foot if you're applying for a job, and you live in Pasadena. Yeah, you're willing to commute to Sherman Oaks. Okay, sure. But if they see that and they're like, it's kind of, and they're like, well, I wouldn't drive that far. And that's like, they don't know that you would, but because their opinion is that they wouldn't drive that far, well, now it kind of shot you in the foot, So little asterisk next to that one. Be specific, but, also consider what it looks like on the resume. But you're going to include any of your responsibilities and duties in that job title. When you're doing this, it's always important to use action verbs and power words to describe those responsibilities. Again, like talk about how responsible you are and how good you are at your job and like maybe how it was difficult, right? And there's a couple different ways you can do this. You can do it in paragraph form or bullet point. Here is a very blended version of that. And so you can see here, related work experience. They got one sample here at the top that is they worked at XYZ Sport Agency in Anytown, USA from June 2001 to currently as a recreation supervisor. So name, where it was located, dates, and job title. Then they're gonna say it was a managerial position with a nonprofit organization responsible for overall operation of recreation programs, serving community populations over 800,000. Programs include therapeutic recreation, senior programming, adult sports, youth sports, family events, fitness programming, martial arts, and indoor climbing. So here's the thing. I actually really like this format, but they get into a big list here in the sort of paragraph section. It's like, we've got bullet points. Like if you're going to list, do that in the bullet points, you know? But instead what they were going for is they were like, here's an overview of what the job was, and here are some accomplishments that they had. I like that, but I don't think that it comes up very often in our role, in our realm, you know? So instead, I would say if you're gonna do bullet points, if you're gonna do lists, put that down here. But if you want to put a brief description of what the job is, put it up here. And then you can put specific statistics of that job down here. You know, manage the $650,000 operating budget, covered in, all program revenue covered, operating costs of the program, manage 5 full-time staff and 80 part-time employees. That's a big one. People love to have management in there. Research and create a 6-court, 9,000 indoor tennis facility at Northridge, whatever. So this is showing that like they actually had to like do a proposal for, building. It's like, yeah, this is a really good recreation supervisor job, this is not somebody trying to get hired as like the manager of a gym. This is somebody who's trying to become like the area director for several locations of a gym, and it's great. I think this is really like well laid out and clean. Not always the most relevant example for us though. So to show you a little bit more of a basic version, you can see here, they split their work experience into 2 different sections. We're still talking about related or relevant work experience right now, but we'll talk about the non-related stuff in just a second. So relevant work experience is like they were a human resources intern, because that's what the job they're trying to get, in June 2005 through August 2005. It's not the longest time in the world. It was only a 2-month internship, but it's very relevant, with Blue Cross of Tennessee in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And then 3 bullet points related to like what their job was, I think this is a very effective, very clean, very easy to read version. Then they've got other experience down here that is non-related or non-relevant. Very valuable section of a resume. This is not bad. Like if you've worked, Abercrombie and Fitch has nothing to do with HR. They were a student worker, probably selling pencils and, notebooks and stuff in the student store. That has nothing to do with human resources, but they're aware of it. It's like, I get that this is non-related or non-relevant or other experience. That's okay. That also shows me awareness, which again, I really appreciate. So our examples here, actually, let's do both the experiences first. So non-related work experience is used to highlight your work ethic, even if it's not necessarily like related directly to whatever it is you are going for industry-wise. Like even if it's not related directly to personal training, non-relevant work experience is still very valuable, because it shows that you know how to work, you know how to show up on time, you know how to hold down a job. And even that is still very valuable. It becomes less valuable the longer you're in the industry, but when you're trying to get like an entry-level job, it can be very good stuff. So this can be used to illustrate your adaptive or transferable skills, your honesty, your enthusiasm, reliability, flexibility, all those type of things, right? What did somebody say the other day? It was so funny. They were talking about how they used to work for Uber Eats. And they were like, they refer to the job title as gourmet delivery specialist or something like that. And I loved that. I thought that was great. Like, but it did show, like, if I see that on a resume for a personal trainer, I'm definitely going to assume that it's like, all right, if they're working for Uber Eats, they're probably new to the industry, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be a bad trainer. That means that they're moldable. And if I see that, like, what I think of when I think of like working for freaking Uber and stuff is, I'm like, there's a lot of customer service, and then they know how to efficiently try to stack as many sessions as possible. Because like if you're driving all over town and you're being slow about your turnaround time from job to job to job, if you're slow about that turnaround time, you're never going to make enough money to freaking survive. The same thing is true of personal training. That's one thing that I'm really grateful. Like I hated working at LA Fitness, but I am grateful now that I did, because it was 30-minute sessions. And so if I had like a 6 a.m. and a 6:30 and a 7 and a 7:30, and I didn't have an 8 a.m. appointment, but I did have an 8:30 and a 9 and a 9:30, that gap is a gap that I didn't get paid for. So I would hustle and text my clients and be like, hey, can you come in a half hour early? Hey, can you come in a half hour early? And I would try to get them like bunched together. And that made sure that like, oh, now I have a full 1 hour break, I can work out. So then I would go and do like my own workout and then come back and like keep going. Like I would make my time as efficient as possible, so that I wasn't just, wasting my time and not making enough money. My hourly rate, if you think about like, if you're making, $20 an hour, and you got 4 hours of sessions booked, that's supposed to be $80. But if one of those, that should also be 8 sessions, right? 4 hours, 2 every hour. That should be 8 sessions. But if you only book 7 sessions, oh wait, what did I say? $20 an hour times 8 sessions. Oh, that's $20 a session. So $10 a session. So if it's like $10 a session for these like little 30-minute sessions, which by the way, this is not great pay, but it was the base pay at the time in LA Fitness. And I only had 7 sessions, I'd make $70 instead of 80. I lost out on $10, so now my hourly is only $17.50 per hour instead of $20 an hour. It's bad, so I was really big on hustling that, and I'm grateful for that, because like that has stuck with me through the rest of my career. I try to make things as efficient as possible. So that's what I would see. It's not related directly to the job, but like this shows that you're a hard worker. By the way, you can include volunteer work in there if you've ever volunteered for an organization. I think that's a really good one as well. Or if you've ever had like a membership somewhere where you've worked with it, right? Sports competitions, even like well-received articles, or if you've done like a YouTube editorial, that stuff can be great sometimes. So professional involvement, memberships of organizations, workshops, conferences, attendances, things like that. So you can see here, this is some of the non-relevant work experience that's included there. So looking at our examples here, again, here's mine. It is all just direct work experience, but again, I've been at this a little bit longer than most. So we go to this version here, and it's like big on education, and then it goes straight into their certifications actually. So this one's a little bit different. It goes from education straight into certs. Again, this is a very education entry-level based resume, and you can see here it's like they've only been a personal training intern. This is what I tell people to put, by the way. So just so you guys are aware, you can train your clients at Sochi. For those of you who might have private clients, we can work out a schedule as long as it's within normal business hours. You guys are always welcome to use our gym. That's why we have it. We want our students to have a place to work, because you can always pay rent at a big gym, or you could pay an incredibly low amount of rent. We just do like $10 per session at our gym. So if you're charging $50 a session, you're making $40 an hour that way. Because we want to keep that relatively low for you guys. Normally gym rent is anywhere from 15 the lowest. It's not, I haven't seen that in a while anymore. I think I don't get to say that anymore. I think that makes me an old fogey. I think it's like anywhere from $20 to $25 an hour at this point. You can pay rent, and that's great, by the way, because then you have access to a full gym. There's a lot of trainers gyms. There's Train down in WeHo. There's At One Fitness here. There's a place over in Burbank that I can't remember the name of. But what I tell people to put rather than just putting like private trainer, just say that you're a personal training intern at Southern California Health Institute if you want to do that. Or you could always just say private trainer and then put your name, you know. But I like that. I think that that's a really handy, it kind of makes it look like you got hired for a job without, you know, being a lie. And you know, then you put your job, you know, just like any other part of this, right? Took their clients through a full assessment, evaluated to develop a program, and trained fellow students in one-on-one training. And that's something everybody actually, you know, does do. And then they worked as an electrician, which has nothing to do with it. It's non-related experience, right? Installed and maintained systems, and then did it up to a certain specific code. Actually, really like that. I think that's that shows again that you know how to follow instructions. Inspected electrical systems for any damages and safety hazards. It doesn't have much to do. Again, you're just putting the information up there. It's not related to personal training. It just shows that you know how to work. And then I got this one, education. Then I go straight into related work experience. This is my very, very modern one. So they were a coach at Stay Fit Kids. And then it talks about like, you know, that's not something you had to actually be necessarily like certified for. But it is like you're working with kids age 5 through 12, you know, in speed, agility, and quickness, and then maintain social distancing at all times. If you worked during the pandemic, that was a job. This was, oh, I'm losing his name. I forget his name. This is one of our students. He put, this is on his resume. And that should be form blank. So then like customer service 24 hours. If you were at working front desk at a gym, there it goes. Whatever the title is, they call it this. So it could be front desk or whatever the title is. North Hollywood, California, from here to here, and then what the job title is. So that's non-related, even if it is in a gym. And again, that just shows a little bit of, you know, what you're good at, what's different to you, you know. You can also include some awards and honors. I don't think this comes up in our resumes very often, but again, if you did win like a competition, if you were an athlete or something like that, I will say military members, if you've received any awards or honors, I think that is something you can include here for sure. A lot of people aren't going to know what some of those things are, but based on the title alone, context clues, it's valuable info, and it shows like, man, this person's good at whatever it is that they do. So you can see here, this person received like a bunch of awards, volunteer of the year. They were on the dean's list or whatever. Activities, you're going to include that. Yeah, if you were a member of like a club or a sorority or anything like that, fraternity, anything like that. Yeah, those are fine. You can see here, they're going to include that. Again, I don't think this is very relevant to us, so we kind of move through it pretty quickly. But here's some really good examples. I think instead, what we fill this information with is your certifications. So your certifications are information related to any specializations within the fitness industry. So you guys have your NASM CPT certification. That is not a specialization, that's a certification. Your CES is not a full certification, it's a specialization. Okay, so corrective exercise specialist is a specialization. CPT, certified personal trainer, is an actual cert. They don't look that different, but I always recommend putting your regular NASM CPT at the top. So if we go to my resume, you can see here under certifications, CPT, CES, FNS. Kept it really simple. Got the VCS, got the PES as well, but haven't updated those in a while. Again, eventually you get so many of them, you actually probably shouldn't put them all. But over here, this is maybe what your guys would look like, right? Remember we said education certifications, those are sort of the most important and relevant. This can fill up half your resume. So we put national, this is a very written out version, National Academy of Sports Medicine, certified personal trainer, which is a CPT in January 2021. And if you wanted to put a description of like what that means, I've seen people do that. You can do that as well. But corrective exercise specialist, fitness nutrition specialist. I really like this version. You can see there's the education over here, and then they put certifications in a separate section. The only thing that I don't like about it is I would flip these two. In fact, I might even do that right now. Yeah, I like that better. So you can see here they put in kind of a. I like this layout. It looks very neat and very clean. This is a very modern style resume, and it is really growing on me. This is actually a default Google Docs resume that we converted to a Microsoft Word version, but this is like one of the templates that's on Google Docs. Today we're going to do like a modern Canva one, because that's one that I don't have, and I'm trying to get as many resume examples. I'm trying to build them up as I teach this class, have more and more examples. But that's sort of this version here, right? Now, when it comes to references, you do not necessarily need to include that on your resume. You can, if you feel like you need to fill up some of the space. But honestly, guys, I recommend having just a separate references sheet. It's really simple. Let me just show you what that kind of looks like, just so you know, because we don't have a lesson on reference sheets here. New. Here's what a reference sheet looks like. You put your name and address and contact info over here. Reference number 1, reference number 2, reference number 3, their title, their address, what your relationship is, and how long you knew them. You don't have to do the personal quote thing. You can go ahead and just kill that. And I wouldn't make this blue. But you can see it's very simple. Just name, contact info, and relationship to the person. The contact info is probably the most important part. They will have your references. A lot of people don't even ask for reference sheets. It's honestly, references have become kind of an outdated thing now that online applications are such a big deal, because your references are going to be in that, and they'll probably just print that sheet out instead. But that is, I don't know, it's kind of good. I kind of like it. What not to include: don't put any of your personal information. Again, don't put pictures. We were talking about this about Arlene last night. She was saying, like, as a massage therapist, they almost always put pictures. Our industry, not so much. So no pictures, no personal information, and don't put your salary needs. That used to be, I've seen that on resumes before. It's fine, but maybe you're willing to be flexible. But putting your actual like salary request on there shows that you are not flexible. So if they're like, those numbers don't match up, you're instantly out of the running. Whereas before, maybe you could have negotiated to it or moved to it in 6 months, you know? Then also, when it comes to personal information, do not include anything: no birth date, marital status, race, age, health, gender. Certainly don't put your political affiliations. Don't put that kind of stuff. I have seen that before. I've seen some of that before. It's very weird. Yeah, no pictures, no salary needs. So let's talk about organizing all this stuff, right? Let's talk about organizing your resume. I've got 3 very differently organized resumes here. You can see this version, very much built around the idea of like work experience first, everything else comes second, right? This version here, this is built around education and certification first. This is very much qualified. You know, work experience second, skills and abilities sort of at the end, which is, that one is pretty standard amongst all of them. And then this version here is very modern. It's got education, it's got experience, but it kind of breaks it into like 2 major columns, right? Over here is like the work-related stuff, and over here is certifications and skills. It's all the same. It's just laid out a little bit differently, you know? There really is no perfect way to do this. What I recommend, guys, is get online, Google resume templates, look through Google Images, and find the ones that you think are the best. You know, I think this one's really clean as well. Oop, where'd it go? Boop, And there you go. Tells you where to put the stuff. This one has experience at the bottom, skills. This one's big on skills. And then education. This is very clearly like an entry-level resume as well. Education's right at the top. Most of the time, education, or not most of the time, but a lot of times education will be at the bottom and eventually work its way off the resume. Here is a super modern looking resume. Personally, I hate this, but I do not like the way that this is laid out at all. But hey, I mean, maybe if you're applying for like, if you were applying for like a really trendy job, like we were talking about Eddie's place, like Speakeasy Fitness yesterday, maybe something modern like that would work. There's this other weird trend in resumes nowadays. Check a look at this. I hate this trend. They're doing this nowadays where it's almost like a freaking video game. See how it says like skills over here, and then like you fill them out on like a scale of like 1 to 5. I mean, at least this one's languages. I don't fully hate that actually, but look at this one. This person, like, this looks like a character in a video game where it's like, zoom in. Where's the zoom in? Oh, there it is. Look at how many skills they have. If I was looking at this, this is like, did you guys play Tony Hawk's Pro Skater? And you'd be like, you'd look at all their stats, it's like, oh, this guy's really good at grinding, but this guy's really good at ollies, you know, and this guy's got really good board control, but this guy's got really good speed, you know, like, and they have different like stat levels. That's the thing I've been seeing on resumes for the last couple of years. I personally hate it. But like I said, there's a lot of different options out there. Here's a very modern looking resume, but I actually think this one's nice. It's modern while still looking incredibly professional. I love this. In fact, if I can find one that looks like that today, that's the one that we'll make. So you're going to organize it based on what you think is most relevant to you. Again, you guys are new out there in the industry, so I do recommend putting your education and skills and certifications at the top, and then work experience second. But depends, guys. Some of you might already have clients and stuff. You want to put that in there. There's a couple different styles. Chronological style, it puts it in reverse chronological order. It puts the newest first. Mir, you got a question?
Oh, no, sorry.
Oh, that's good. Functional style. Functional is like much more built around like, you know, how you perform certain things. Love that too. And then hybrid style kind of puts them together, right? The hybrid style that we saw earlier was like paragraph and then bullet points under it. I love that. Thought that looked really good. Now, this says in the recreation field, they'll expect like 2 or more. I disagree with that. Here's our general tips, right? Your resume should be 1 page. Do not use silly fonts. You know, if you take your resume, I'll use mine. Where'd it go? If you take your resume and you go like this, change that to freaking Comic Sans. Oh my God, no. I mean, obviously this screwed the whole thing up, but like absolutely not with the Comic Sans, you know? Acceptable resume fonts. I really like Calibri. Times New Roman honestly used to be the standard, but like, it's kind of weird. It's just, I think it's just outdated at this point. You'll hear people say that all the time. This is like the old school one. I just think that this kind of looks like a newspaper article. And so, you know, it literally looks like the New York Times. I don't love it personally, but you'll hear people say that. And I think you see it in here. Times New Roman and Arial. I think Calibri is like the modern one, and sometimes like Garamond isn't so bad either. So you can see I like Arial. I don't know if I like Times and Calibri. Calibri is probably my favorite. Don't go smaller than 10 point. Don't go larger than 14 point. The exception to that 14 point is your title, your name, not your title. But don't ever go lower than 10. Emphasize all your key topics using bold or italics, but do not use all of them simultaneously. You can bold stuff, you can use italics. I don't recommend underline, but I don't know how I feel about bold and italic. Putting them together is not my favorite. So I like here, actually I did use bold italic. But you can see here, like title, and then just italics. Yeah, I don't know. I think I might change that actually if it were me nowadays. My opinions on this stuff shift all the time. That's one problem with building resumes. It's like you never feel like they're fully done. But bold, right? But it's a good way for you to kind of do that. And then all caps is a big one too. Like putting things in all caps is a really good way to kind of separate the sections. You can see we did that here, right? So this is in bold. This is not in bold. This is regular font. And then the dates are in all caps. I think that looks really clean. Here's actually, this is supposed to be. Oh man, all these got messed up. There we go. Were they supposed to be 10? Wait, what's this? Oh, it is supposed to be 10. Whoops. Now I'm totally goofing up my own formatting here. 410. There we go. All right. So you've got a couple tools to kind of emphasize those points and break up your sections. Again, avoid abbreviations. No abbreviations, guys. CPR is the exception. CPT is an exception, but NASM is not. You'll want to use National Academy of Sports Medicine. Then if you want to put CPT, you can, but don't put NASM. It's kind of, everybody knows who NASM is. Everybody, you know, they're the industry leader. But still, don't do it. It's just kind of a general rule of thumb. When you see it, people will see it and they'll go, oh, I thought we're not supposed to do that. And then they judge you, you know? And obviously avoid any spelling errors. You know, that should go without saying. So very important for you to present the information as favorably as possible. This is the only, I love this line here. It's the only part of the job search process that you have 100% of the control over. You don't have any control over when somebody is going to pull you in. You don't have any control over what questions they're going to ask you in the interview, but you do know how to shape your resume. It is up to you. So knowing what kind of content to put on there is obviously going to be very important. There are a couple different formats out there, but we're going to go through it. I'm going to show you how easy this can be. And we're going to do a Canva one today. So these are all very traditional versions, normally how I like resumes. Like I said, this has kind of grown on me this is like my favorite nowadays. And then here's a very, very, very modern one. But let's take a look at how easy it is to actually build a resume start to finish. Obviously, you would want to be very picky about this information. You would spend much more time on it than we are going to spend today. But I never build modern resumes because I personally am not a huge fan of them. So it's time for me to finally make one because you've seen examples of very traditionals. So if you go to this website, you can make a free account. It's called Canva. The only problem with this is you will not be able to have a Microsoft Word version of it. You'll have to always edit it on Canva. But I'm just going to log in here. And you're actually going to see some of the thumbnails and stuff, or it'll have like suggestions, stuff that I've actually worked with before. But let's see here, resume. So here's a bunch of different formats. These all have pictures of the faces in them. There we go. There's a non-pictured one. There we go. That's very modern. I don't hate that one. That's all the free ones. Don't hate that one. That one's a little weird, but I don't hate it. Man, they have a lot of templates. Very, very modern. That one's paid, actually. We don't need to get up with that. All right, whatever. Let's go with this one because it does have different sections. All right, so we're going to fill this out. If this were me, I would just replace this information, right? I'm going to go I'm not a marketing manager. I am a personal trainer. And full name, email address. I don't know that I love that. All right, so we're gonna make some small adjustments here. We're gonna say in full name, I'm gonna lose that. I don't think that's very important actually, because my full name is already on the resume. Email though, big deal. Now we ran into the problem making that fit, but luckily we can just kind of drag this over. It fits just fine. It gets a little tight. We'll address that in a moment. I can probably just make these bold and that'll work. And maybe drag this over just a little bit. We're going to change address to location. And we're going to change phone to cell, just because I like that better. And location is California. All right, so now there we go. It's a little spacey. I might take some of the space out of here, actually. Yeah, let's go like this. That's a lot tighter looking. I don't actually have a website right now, so I might even change this to like social media. And so, you know, I put like Instagram.com/PL. So there we go. Now I've got, if that was relevant to me, but I also don't necessarily have to include that, right? I really only need these three things: email, location, and cell phone and contact info. Okay, so now let's do our work experience. So guys, you're gonna help me out here. We are gonna make up some things. We are actually gonna put education. We are gonna flip these. It's gonna be kind of a pain in the butt, but we're gonna change this to education, and we're gonna change this one to work experience. So for education, we know where we're going. Let's say 2021 to 2022. Or actually, sorry, it'd be 6. That'd be the dates, right? There we go. So now we can put Southern California Health Institute. Southern California Health Institute. Here's the title, right? You guys are studying personal fitness training. And now we can put a little bit of information about like what we studied. What do you guys think we should put here? What stuff do you think we should emphasize? You guys know a little bit about what's in the Sochi program. Thomas, you probably, you know the most because you've had the most classes, but what do you guys think? What do you think's when you heard about Sochi and you wanted to sign up, what drew you in the most?
The certifications, so CPC, CES, and nutrition.
Do you like the fact that you get the 3 certs? Cool. Let's focus on that. Yeah. Mir, what about you?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say the same thing, like super certified.
Yeah. Okay. Love that. Good note for me, by the way. Now I know what to talk about. So that's great. That's great. So we're gonna say studied the art. Studied the National Academy of Sports Medicine approach to corrective exercise nutrition coaching and I should have put that last actually. So we need the and there. National Academy to all right. Study the National Academy of Sports Medicine approach to personal training, as well as corrective exercise and nutrition coaching. That made this not line up anymore, but that is okay because now we don't, we can include certifications on here as well. So I'm actually going to say education and certifications. Actually, let's see how this looks if I do it. So now we can put the date that we achieved specific certifications. If we zoom in here, we go like this. We change this to where we're getting it from, National Academy of Sports Medicine, certified personal trainer. That's the CPT, right? And now we'll just delete that. We don't have to have any bigger description beyond that, but we do want to put our other certifications up there. Delete that as well. Oop. That makes it easy for me. We're going to go corrective exercise specialist. Yes. Oh, certified. And then CPR/AED. You do want to put it in there that you have it. Plus, I mean, again, this is a relatively sparse resume, so we're filling it up where we can, Now, right here, I'm going to kind of line these up again. This is where Canva gets weird. Honestly, I think it's easier to do stuff on Microsoft Word. But let's just say, and also, actually, you know what? I didn't love this. We're going to go June 2021 to, let's say, Feb 2022. All right. And then over here, let's say when we received these. Let's just say March 22. Maybe it took you a little bit longer to get. And then this one, the American Red Cross, is actually a big one to put because they want to know when your CPR card is going to expire. So we'll say as well. So there we go. Now we've got our certifications and education up there. I will say one thing. I kind of shot myself in the foot. What do you guys think about like what we just put? How do you guys like it? What's something you can be critical of that we don't like? So one thing that I noticed is it's a little redundant. We talked about the certifications here in the description, and then we listed them here. So it's like, didn't really get any new info out there. So I might actually say instead we emphasize a little bit more about like the specific classes that you guys took. So studied the
program design.
Yeah, right. National Academy of 2, we're going to say program design. Maybe fitness assessments. And you want to go with we can go with behavior change, we can go with nutrition, we can go with, any of the various classes that we've got. So, let's pull it up. I got a class list right here, actually. Here's our course list, right? We even have, we have sales. We're in that class right now, right? So we have anatomy, physiology, exercise psychology, youth specific training, kinesiology, special pops, life, senior training, fitness assessments, sales, sports, exercise, phys, nutrition, weight loss. So, program design, fitness assessments. Let's put one more thing up there.
Would that be also because of what we want to do for our job, though? Like we would want to pick the classes that were more specifically towards that?
Yes. Yep. So we're just using an example version right now. So yeah, you want to pick what's most relevant to you because you probably don't have enough room to put every class you took at Sochi, But like if you're working in a gym that specializes in weight loss, great. Maybe that's where you want to see yourself, or maybe you want to find yourself working more with athletes. Nutrition's relevant for both. Weight loss program design is different from sports program design, right? So what do you guys think? Give me, go ahead and pick one more thing for me. Throw it up here.
Well, can we put like how how like we have different mods, like youth mod, senior mod, like weight loss, this and that?
Sure. Which mod do you think is your favorite?
Probably weight loss, because that's probably like,
Let's go.
yeah.
Yeah, weight loss, because that's usually like, I feel like weight loss is like the biggest thing you could be. You're like, oh, I specialize in helping people lose weight. Like that, people are gonna come to you because what's the one thing people associate with working out, even though it's not the primary thing? Losing weight. They want to look better, feel better.
Love it.
Like
There we go. Weight loss it is. So there we go. Study the National Academy of Sports Medicine approach to program design, fitness assessments, and weight loss specialization. Cool. And I think that's reflected here very well as well. We got the CNC down here. I like it. I think it's really clean, and you can see like we got the education here and all the various certifications there. Now we're going to do work experience, and again, you can put one thing that I like to do. I like to put relevant work. Oh, I like to spell it well as well. Relevant work experience, and then I love to put non-related work experience. Ooh, well, that still fits. In two different sections here. So I'm going to go down here, and let's just say something we're gonna make we're making another mush person here. We're making a sort of an amalgamation. Joseph, you used to work at the front desk at a gym, right?
Yes.
Where'd you work?
24-hour fitness.
All right. And you worked it was front desk, right? Did you have a specific title?
I was technically, well, it depends on what. I start off as the front desk assistant manager, and then I moved to just a regular front desk person.
Cool. Let's put the assistant manager one. All right, so we can just leave that there. Honestly, that's really simple. It doesn't say much, but again, that's kind of this modern approach. We're going for this kind of sparser resume. It's really a little bit more about what this looks like, more than the content that's on there. If it looks really sparse in a moment, we can add some details. And then let's pick some non-related work experience. Let's see here. Who's got a job that's totally not related to personal training that they think they want to put?
I've worked retail for 30 years.
Hey, I'll take it. Where'd you work?
Most recently, I was working at Disney Store and Adidas.
We'll just put Disney Store. And then we'll put my brain. Oh my gosh.
Title?
Thank you.
Team lead.
All right, so now, yeah, it's very sparse. It's a little bit too sparse. So let's get some information here. So now it's like, how do I know what to say my job was at 24-hour fitness? I'll show you guys one of my favorite tricks. Go to Indeed.com. Look up front desk associate. personal trainer, fitness manager, fitness coach, personal trainer, sales.
Don't ever do sales. It was the worst.
Oh, I'm sure.
That's why I started at.
believe you. Yeah, maybe they're not. There we go. So this one's for golds, but I mean, it's still a front desk job. So now we can look at this job description. Talks about what's great. That's fine. What sets us apart? That's great. You know, looking at that. And when you come to work, you'll be doing what? So here we go. This is the information. So partner with the sales and fitness manager to provide the in-class member-centric experience. Ensure members receive a free. There we go. I'm just gonna straight up steal this sentence right here. Whoops, why did that happen? Okay. And I'm gonna put that underneath. Don't know that we need the bullet points, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove that. And let's put the date. Joseph, when did you work at 24 Hour?
When was that? 2004 to 2000.
Oh, sorry, we have the date on there. Sorry, where was this? Sorry, which location?
Oh, Santa Fe Springs.
Cool. Now we've got it. There we go. And then the Disney store, where was that?
Culver City.
All right. Let's see if I can Google that and find some job titles.
They're closed, so you're probably not gonna find them on there unless it's sold.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You can check under Citadel in Commerce. They're still open. They might be hiring.
Damn. You were right on with that commerce. Look at that. All right, there we go. So qualifications, responsibilities. There we go. Engaging and providing guests with an entertaining and magical experience. What a sentence. Stolen. So this is like one of the things that I really like to do, because sometimes it's really hard to figure out what you're going to say, you know? Provided. This is in the, we do have to change the perspective here. Engaged in and provided guests with an entertaining and magical experience. They can definitely tell this is written by Disney. They're capitalizing they're capitalizing entertainment and magical. You don't need to do that.
Everything around them, they have their own language.
Yeah.
When you speak, you don't speak in normal English. You have to literally speak in what they call Disney language. So like you can't say I'm going to the stock room. You can say I'm going to the Cave of Wonders.
Oh my God.
I'm going to, I can never say I'm going to the restroom. They always say the Tinker Room. Like literally, it's like everything has a term specific to them.
That's hilarious. All right, so now let's see here. What do we want to put for the dates for the 24 Hour Fitness?
That would have been, I'm going to say September of 2004 through, when I leave? I stood there for about 5-6 years.
Yeah, we'll just make it up, honestly. June 2009. Does that work?
Yeah.
Cool. What about the Disney store?
I started there June 2016.
To when?
June of this year, when they closed.
So one mistake we've made now, these are backwards, which is okay, because we can just go like this. And we got to put this one down here, because we do want this in reverse chronological order, right? There we go. Now we've got our education stuff up here. We got our related work experience. Now all we have to do is fill in some special skills. So like, you know, this is where you can fill in like what you guys are good at. If you're good with kettlebells, love that, right? Maybe you know how to do Olympic weightlifting. While you're here in school, we're teaching you guys how to do sales. You know, we're also teaching you how to do goal setting, which is very, very relevant to personal training. And honestly, you can even delete the second section and it still looks pretty clean, you know? So there it is. There's a very, very, very modern resume. We did that in like 23 minutes, you know? Personally, here's what I'll say, guys. This is my least favorite format. Of all of them that I have, this is probably my least favorite, but it doesn't mean that it couldn't be your favorite, you know? This is, everybody's gonna have their own, take on all this stuff. So if this is the one that you like, great. I say go with it, you know? You guys are building your resume. I do not care what format you decide to go with. I just want to make sure that everybody in here has a resume. Because here's the thing, as much experience as I have in the personal training industry, I am not a resume expert. Miriam, our career services lady, absolutely is. So she may be the one, you know, we're going to get this resume built. You're going to bring it to her and she's going to make like tweaks and adjustments, and that's going to help you get hired. Questions, comments, concerns. That's about it today, guys. How y'all feeling?
Pretty good, pretty good. It's just about like, you know,
Feeling pretty good.
Cool, cool.
you know, what you done.
Love it.
All right.
All right.